Hi, I'm Daniel Keys, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book Can You Rape a Robot? No other than Mr. Steven Eisenberg. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Steven, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me. I've been primarily a college instructor, college biology, as well as chemistry instructor for 30 years. Um, I haven't been doing that for a while. I am also president of a couple of organizations. One is called Bridge to America Cultural and Education Consulting, and the other is called the Princeton Academy of Language and Science. So I'm in those roles. I'm basically an educational consultant. But besides that, I do. Uh, I am a writer. I'm an author. Um, besides nonfiction books on topics like robot rights and artificial intelligence, uh, I write pirate adventures and science fiction stories. So that's a little bit about me.
Mr. Steven Eisenberg, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. What inspired you to write about morality and rights in relation to conscious machines?
Well, I've always had an interest in how um, artificial intelligence is going to influence society in the future. And I wanted to write a book that looked at this concept of robot rights because it's going to be an important issue in the foreseeable future. Artificial intelligence is advancing at such a rate that we may soon find ourselves sharing our world with conscious robots. So the question then becomes, once machines possess human like intelligence and are conscious, what are then our moral obligations to them going to be? How must we treat them? Should we see them? Will we see them as persons or property? And what um, and will they then be um, will we then be morally obligated to give them human rights and the same kinds of legal protections as people? So I wanted to delve into this in detail in this book.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Steven. Why did you choose such a provocative or provocative, question? Can you rape a robot as a title of your book?
I'd say for two reasons. First of all, it's obviously provocative. It gets people's attention, right? People look at that and go, some people are going to
Sure.
look at that and go, what? And others are just
Okay.
going to laugh. I've gotten both kinds of responses. But it is actually a question talked about in the book that gets to the central heart of the topic. What rights will conscious machines have? Will they have the right to lead their own lives, make their own decisions? Will they have the right to consent and deny choices? Among many other human rights that humans already um, give themselves. So the question becomes, if we see a conscious robot as people, or conscious robots as people, then do they have all the same legal protections and rights as people? And one of these is the ability to control their own bodies and make their own decisions and consent to or deny to choices. So, because humans have these rights, rape is considered illegal. You don't have the right to rape a person. You don't have the right to force them to do something they don't want to do. The question then becomes, in this, for this particular right, the question then becomes if some people are going to say, yes, conscious robots are people, therefore they are deserving of rights, therefore you cannot force them to do something against their will. But other people are going to say, it doesn't matter, they're just machines, they have no rights, conscious or not. Therefore, forcing a robot to do something it doesn't want to do is not a violation of any rights and is not something we would consider illegal. So that's one of the examples of human rights that are talked about in the book. And so I chose that particular one for the title because I knew that would get a lot of attention.
How do you define consciousness in machines, and why is this definition important to your exploration of morality?
Well, we say humans are conscious because they are aware of themselves. They are aware of their surroundings. They are aware of their own thoughts and existence. They are free to make choices, make decisions, and make judgments. They also, feel emotions. Um, so this self-awareness is basically what defines consciousness. So we say humans are conscious because they are aware of themselves, aware of their own existence. So that then becomes the question then becomes, will we ever be able to consider machines as conscious? Will they ever be able to um, attain consciousness? And at that point, will they be considered basically the same as people? What was the other part of your question?
Well, I think that's good enough, mister. So can you discuss how your book challenges traditional views of morality and consent?
Um, well, the book reviews a wide range of moral principles. So, human rights are founded on moral and ethical principles. Giving people the right to vote, the right to liberty, the right to reproduce, the right to life, the right to autonomy, the right to free speech, the right to not be exploited, the right to liberty. These are all founded on moral principles, how we want to treat other people and how we expect them to treat us. So the book goes into a lot of the variety of ways we define morality. There are many different moral principles as well as ethical principles. And so I review that in order for the reader to get a better understanding of um, then how would we morally justify giving rights to non-human beings?
So what ethical issues do you encounter while exploring human interactions with robots?
Um, it comes down to the point of how do we treat machines once they are conscious and once they have emotions, because that's how we define what a person is. What makes a human as opposed to some other animal? It is the fact that we have consciousness and that we have emotions. And so our moral principles dictate that we treat other people morally. Then if we extend that to non-human beings, at what point should we treat them the same way as we treat other people? Uh, if we say that a machine has consciousness and has feelings, that means they're just like people. Just as we would morally treat another person, another human, um, based on our empathy and our understanding that they are other people that think and feel and have needs and desires, we must then also consider conscious machines in the same way. If they have consciousness like a human, if they have emotions like a human, if they have needs and wants and desires just like a human, then we are morally obligated to treat that kind of machine just like we would treat any person.
So, how do human attitudes toward artificial intelligence affect our moral obligations toward them?
It's going to come down to those people who accept conscious machines as people versus those who will never be able to accept that. There always always going to be those on the other side of the argument to say no, these are just machines. They cannot be people. They are not alive. Therefore, they are not deserving of human rights. They are not deserving of moral consideration. We should not treat them morally like we would treat other people. So there are two sides of the argument. One is it doesn't matter that they are not biological organisms, they are not biological people, but they still possess the same, if they possess the same qualities as people. They have consciousness, emotions, so they should be treated just like people, versus the other side would say no, they can never be, a machine can never be conscious, or they are not people because they are not alive, therefore they should not be treated the same as people.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. Very well said. What were greatest challenges in discussing ethical topics related to AI and robots?
uh it comes down to these two arguments. You have, what are all the different kinds of arguments for treating for considering a conscious robot to be a person? Also the argument, can machines ever be conscious? So there's the argument that yes, machines eventually, even though there's no computer technology right now that would allows for machine consciousness, there may eventually be computer technology which will produce a conscious entity. So the question then becomes, okay, well, the two arguments then become, okay, yes, there are those who say conscious machines are possible, and then the other side of the argument is no, conscious machines will never be possible. So there are a lot of arguments on both sides of that. But if a machine can be conscious, then there are a wide variety of moral arguments that could be made as to um, how do we justify giving uh, giving rights to robots, treating robots as people. There are a variety of moral and ethical principles and philosophies. There's for example, virtue ethics, there's humanistic values, there's the philosophy of deontology, um, there's natural law theory. All these are moral perspectives and can be guidelines on formulating or arguing for treating machines like people, giving them human rights.
Very well said. Mr. Steven, so what do you believe, or what role do you believe science fiction has played in shaping our current ethical understanding of robots?
Science fiction has given us different views on machines. Most science fiction has made robots out to be, conscious robots or advanced computer technology out to be dangerous. There's the Terminator movies. The best example where there are uh, the machine. What's it? I forget the name of um,
The movie Alita, too, if you watch that movie.
which movie?
Alita.
I don't know that one, but there's the Cyberdyne Systems in the Terminator movies has created a computer system that takes control of our military and becomes
Yes.
conscious, and then decides all humans are dangerous and should be wiped out. So there's the negative view of computers driven by science fiction in that way. Then there's the other side, which I talk about in the book. There's the character Data from Star Trek, who is looked at, who is a positive example of computer technology. So science fiction influences a lot of public perception and public ideas about the future potential of artificial intelligence. A lot, most science fiction gives people a very negative impression, like, oh, artificial intelligence is going to be dangerous. And then there's some that presents a positive view. So the public, the general public's views on artificial intelligence are greatly influenced by what they see in the movies and in science fiction stories, things like that.
So, Mr. Steven, what will be your short term and long term goals in writing?
Um, I have completed a story, which is a pirate adventure, and I'm trying to get that published. That's called The Secret of the Dragon's Scale. And I am working on a couple of other science fiction stories. One is tentatively called The Harvest of the Androids, and another is called uh, it's called Flowers for Icarus. So my short-term goal is to get my pirate story published, and then my goals after that are to continue on these science fiction stories. And I have a lot of other ideas for works I want to get to eventually as well.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Steven. And what will be your advice for those people out there want to write their own book?
Um, I would say that you go with what you're most interested in, what you most enjoy writing about, or the kinds of stories you're most interested in that you enjoy the most. It's for those who have not gotten into writing as a profession, it's not an easy process. Uh, there are two ways you can go about getting published. You can self-publish, or you can go through a traditional publisher, and both have their pros and cons. Um, I have self-published my robot book, and I am trying to get my pirate adventure traditionally published, but it's a long and arduous process.
Long and stop procrastinating, people. If you have the passion to write, and share to the world. So, Mr. Steven, what is your perspective on the emotional connections people already form with AI driven technologies?
There's, I would say, in the creative world, in the arts, in art and music, there is a lot of people who are unhappy with the way generative AI is going. Artists are afraid that generative AI is going to take away their jobs. Um, so you hear a lot of concerns and complaints from the art community about that. Right now, I don't see that as a serious problem. I see AI as more a tool, but really it's just in its infancy and it's going to get a lot better and be more of a threat probably to the art community.
Totally agree, Mr. Steven. So, can you discuss any surprising findings or conclusions you reached while researching and writing this book?
Um, I would not say anything that was really surprising. It did show me how there are many ways to approach the subject. There are many moral principles that one can fall back on in order to try and argue for and maybe also against um, the idea of giving rights to robots. Mostly, I've seen that there are a wide variety of moral arguments for giving rights to robots, and that the arguments against, first of all, the possibility that machines could ever be conscious, and then the arguments against, well, if they can become conscious, we should give them rights, not to be very rational. Now, because this is not really an issue yet, it's still sometime in the future. Not so it's not something people are really thinking about, except some ethicists and people in the AI community. So not a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about it. I mean, there are a lot of books on the subject of robot rights, but because they are not a reality yet, the general public really doesn't even think about it. It's probably not aware of what the arguments are.
Definitely. So, Mr. Steven, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to one of my audiobooks, people, audiobooks. One of them are Book 101 Review, Volume 3, Suggestions, Volume 2, Selected, and Book 101 Review, Volume 1, Highly Recommended. These are the products of my Book 101 Review Season 1. So please do listen to them. Available on Audible. Of course, my self-help book, Threads of Existence, Weaving the Tapestry of Life. And Stand Tall, Stand Together, Life is Too Short, and my climate change book, Earth Fever, The Unraveling Climate and Our Race to Restore Balance. Available on Audible, and please do listen to them. So, Mr. Steven, ultimately, what the key message do you hope readers take away from your exploration of consciousness, morality, and rights for machines?
Uh, I would say the main takeaway is to consider the possibilities, what are the arguments, and keep in mind that eventually this is something humanity will have to face. Um, we are on the, I say in the book, we are on the threshold of a new ethical frontier. This question of how we will treat conscious robots is something that will have to be considered sooner rather than later, because at some point in the not too distant future, artificial intelligence will advance to the point where we have conscious machines. At that point, we have to start considering how we treat these machines. Are they deserving of human rights? So that's, I guess, the main takeaway from this is this is eventually going to happen, and once it does, we will be at this serious turning point in human society.
Mr. Steven Eisenberg, thank you so much for
So
sharing.
the book is available on Amazon.
Yes.
Hope you all take a look at it and enjoy it.
Yes,
And
indeed.
that it'll give you something to think about.
Definitely, people, let's support Mr. Steven Eisenberg, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Steven, thank you so much for your time.
My website is steveneisenbergauthor.com, and thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed, people. Again, Mr. Steven, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Yes, please go to Amazon, take a look, and go to my website, steveneisenbergauthor.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Steven. Because, as I said, if you support him, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Steven, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Modicon people, see you soon.